Motor Company is proud to present the all-new 9.
Okay, enough of that. Welcome to BeamNG 0.34. And today, I'll tell you everything you need to know about it. From the obvious stuff, like this brand new vehicular device, to the minuscule but still very welcome changes, like this cone. Baby blue cone! But before showing you all that, let me remind you that all footage is from a pre-release version and that things may be different when the update comes out. And you know what's also different? This. The Bruckle 9 replaces the 1950s Burnside Special as BeamNG's oldest car, having been produced between 1932 and 1938. Though technically, it's also BeamNG's newest car, since, well, it just came out today. Anyways, technicalities aside, I think this is one of the coolest new vehicles we've gotten in a while. And as I said earlier, it's also very different. And while yes, it is different because it's 20 years older than any other car we've ever had, it's also different because of the crazy amount of body styles this thing has, including pickups, vans, sedans, coupes, and roadsters. How are these the same car? So for that reason, my approach to showing off all of its quirks and features will also be a little different from the usual. That's right, baby, live walk around time. So this is the base sedan, and man did they nail the styling on this. I think the overall shape and proportions are perfect, and it does a really good job of taking various design elements from different cars of the time and merging them all together in a way that works. The rear end is pretty simple, though there are a few nice details, like the bumper wrapping at the edges, very bougie, and this single taillight with a Bruckle logo that also doubles as a license plate holder. And if you hit the brakes, it literally says stop. Bloody Americans, right? But most importantly, it has a fuel cap. This makes it the 5th car to have one after the Wydra, the Widgeon, the T-Series, and the MD series. Though these are all fuel caps, we still don't have any fuel doors. But honestly, this isn't really that important unless you're insane like myself. And in fact, this is most likely your first time realizing this. So like this video if that is actually the case, and then we can see how many people's day I've ruined. Now moving on to its side, it's still pretty simple with some more nice touches, like the door handles, also very bougie, as well as these openings, which I assume are there to extract some heat out of the engine bay. Another cool detail are the door hinges being different in length because of the door's curvature. Also, whoever made these wheels, you're a G, man. And finally, moving on to the front, it has the same face I had once I found out the amount of time I would get to make this video. They gave it googly eyes, for fuck's sake. I actually found this by accident to see if it had the police light bar, which is one of the small changes we'll talk about later. But man, who the hell did this? Also, check out this horn. Now before showing you the inside, take a look at this. Suicide doors, baby, look at that. But the nicest interactive thingy is the split hood. And finally, there's two actually insane details that I want to show you. The first one is this little circle thingy at the bottom of the grille, which upon closer inspection seems to be some sort of cap. And in fact, from behind, you can see that there is an opening, which leads to another opening, which leads to another opening. That's because during the 30s, the transition to electric starters was still undergoing. So while many cars were starting to have them, they still had the option to be manually turned on by inserting a crank key through the slot under the radiator. And the second insane detail is this. You may be wondering what the hell you're looking at right now, and well, rightfully so. These are the clutch and brake pedal linkages. And not only are they modeled, they're also animated. How cool is that? You can even follow the brake line to the actual brakes. This is next level. I've never seen anything like this in BeamNG. Devs, what the fuck? Now the interior is kinda weird because everything is all nice and detailed except for the dash, which is what you'll actually be looking at 99% of the time. Like, this part is fine, but this is just oddly empty. There are fancier configs that have more going on, and those are great. And while I do get the omission of this design piece on the base model, at least give the peasants a glove box. And finally, there's the engine. And at idle, it sounds pretty good. But watch what happens when you rev it. It sounds like a mobile game. Luckily, this isn't the end of the world, because there's plenty other configurations with plenty other engines, such as this V8. Now that's more like it. And talking about configurations, there's no way I'm showing you all of them, so what I'll do instead is show you the different body styles and their cool features. Starting with the vans, there's a long one, and a short one. And you can then choose between a single door or a split door. Then there's the coupe and the roadster, which are basically the same thing except for the roof. The neat thing about these is that you can either have a trunk or an extra bench seat. These used to be called rumble seats, as well as mother-in-law seats. And the devs even added the 2 little steps people would use to climb in. Very cool. And finally, there's a short pickup and a long pickup. Not much else to say here. Now apparently, because of its thin tires, friction shocks, and lack of sway bars, driving this thing with a wheel is an absolute nightmare. So make sure to subscribe because I will be giving it a go next week. In conclusion, the Bruckle 9 is f***ing great. What isn't so great, and understandably so since it's a very early preview, is the brand new rally game mode.
Fast, medium left, long, in, medium right, concentrate, medium left, into double caution jump.
At the moment, it's basically just a regular A to B timed mission with checkpoints, but it does have a brand new UI element that displays rally pace notes. If you want to try the rally game mode for yourself in its, I repeat, very unfinished state, you'll need to spam click it on the main menu. Now I don't want to judge what is unfinished, but I do want to leave some feedback. And you can do the same through this link. In my opinion, the UI should be moved further down because you have to take your eyes off the road to look at it. But most importantly, I think it would work best with an actual co-driver voice and sound effects every time it updates. But again, this is just a very early preview, and as you can see here, it doesn't reflect the dev's vision for it. And with that, it is time to move from the big changes to the medium-sized ones. Starting with something you may have noticed while I was talking about the rally stages. A brand new main menu. Okay, it is more of an updated look rather than being completely brand new, and to be honest, that's great, because there was nothing inherently wrong with the previous one. The top banner is ever so slightly different, the buttons now have even more rounded corners, the replay button has been moved away from the bottom bar, and now if you hover over the free roam button, it shows an image. I don't know, I'm not really a fan of this last one. And also, what is this spacing, bro? That is borderline criminal. But overall, this is definitely a step in the right direction. Though, the main menu wasn't the only update to the user interface. Missions now have a brand new UI for selecting them, before starting them, and after completing them. And boy did they cook with these completion sounds and these little animations. Plus, you now get a time slip when you complete drag races, which is super sick. Another cool thing is the brand new drift score UI for drift missions, which finally lets you know what is actually going on. Though again, it is a bit too high in my opinion, and sound effects would really bring all of this together. And finally, the updated vehicle config UI is now enabled by default, with the option to go back to the old one. Not gonna lie, it is kinda weird being in the middle of this user interface update, where some parts are all new and shiny, and then you accidentally click somewhere else but I'm very excited to see it all come together, and I'm really happy with the look they're going for. And with that, it is time to talk about the small features you'd only know about if you spend 12 hours obsessing over the patch notes, which by the way, are linked in the description, alongside my merch. Last time around, we got new loading screen photos. This time, we get new main menu photos. Next, almost all cars now have police parts you can equip in the parts selector. For example, you can now have a police Orata, which looks absolutely sick with these flashes. Heck, you can even have a police Widra now, though for some reason, the Pigeon, Widgeon, and T-Series don't seem to have them. Why? And on the topic of light bars, the modern US police light bar is now customizable. Plus, you can also control the lights on cars with dedicated police interiors through the infamous ugly boxes. And finally, the last change to the police stuff is that light bars don't illuminate interiors anymore. Kinda. Though for some reason, all these cool changes don't apply to the European police stuff. What? It's probably because of time constraints, so wouldn't be surprised if the Euro stuff gets updated in the next couple releases. Staying on the topic of lights, the Burnside Special gets updated headlights, and the Gavro Roma gets updated headlights, taillights, and some new materials, like the glass. The Grand Marshal has a new drift config called the Slider, and it features a custom body kit and skin. The West Coast map gets the usual little tweaks. Then, as with the previous update, there's even more cars optimized for AI traffic, and some already optimized cars are now even more optimized. The optimization never stops, guys. This next one has to be my favorite though, because it's something I told the devs myself. The orbit camera on the Pigeon and Widgeon is finally centered. Yeah, only someone mentally cooked like myself could ever notice this. And finally, Traffic Cone Remastered. That is right, gentlemen. The Traffic Cone has been remastered with like 4 times the default configurations, as well as the ability to change its color. And so, this is it for BeamNG 0.34. But what about next year? Well, I honestly don't know. But what I do know is what you can expect from me. Now, don't worry, guys. I haven't suddenly forgotten about the face reveal, but please give me time to do it well.